due to the present economic crisis. Civil society groups in the country are therefore calling on the governments at all levels to ensure proper implementation of social protection programs that would reduce poverty across the country. Hamidu Igbade files in this report.
The World Poverty Clock, a tool used to track poverty progress worldwide, in its 2023 data reported that there are 71 million extremely poor Nigerians. The situation worsened after the implementation of fuel subsidy removal by President Bola Tinubu last year. This has prompted citizens to demand a holistic and comprehensive implementation of government social protection programs.
Nigeria hosts the largest number of poor people in the world. The level of poverty is high, the level of inequality is high, the human development indices are very low.
So the first thing for government to do is to look at the social protection laws and policies that we have in the country and ensure that they are properly implemented while engaging citizens. To do a proper implementation that would yield results for us, you need to engage citizens. One of the ways you can do that is to look at the existing public register that we have.
There are a lot of things the government can do, but for the purposes of this conversation, I would like to think that giving the citizens a lift through social initiatives that empower the most vulnerable amongst us is the way to go. Governments all over the world have done this in countries, even developing countries like Nigeria, and Nigeria shouldn't be an exception.
They charged the federal government to tackle poverty head-on in order to make life bearable for all Nigerians. Amid Oyegbade, reporting for Trust TV.
The House of Representatives on Monday grilled the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, for its inability to protect the right of Nigerians over the recent hike in the price of cement. The Joint Committee on Solid Minerals, Industry, Commerce and Special Duties expressed their displeasure when the agency appeared before it during a public hearing of the committees to investigate the arbitrary increase in the price of cement by manufacturers of cement in Nigeria. Chairman of the committee, Jonathan Gaza, while describing FCCPC as a mother that has forgotten her child, said the increase in the price of cement has a direct bearing with the increase of building collapses experienced in the country. Earlier, the Director of Surveillance and Investigations, FCCPC, Boladale Adeyinka, and the Chairman of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, Current Sadiq Abubakar, said the increase in the price of cement is not as a result of dollar increase, but on epileptic power supply, high cost of diesel, and operational costs.
For heaven's sake, anything that has to do with livelihood should be treated as an emergency. And your voices for the fact that you are in charge of protecting the consumers should be the loudest. Even above that of the, because your agency is actually an agency that is likened to one that gives early warning signals.
We're also investigating why there is entry barrier into the cement industry in Nigeria. When I mean entry barriers, the dominant players have remained so for a long time. Our analysis is not even a question of price fixing. Price fixing usually, or cartel, is more when they are talking together amongst themselves, which is an anti-competitive conduct under the FCCPA now. But what we are even noticing, and we are investigating more, is even a price war. In other words, they are not even talking amongst themselves, but they are, it seems to us that there are practices that need further investigations, which we consider part of the reasons why the consumer is feeling the brunt.
Cement importation is prohibited. So it's raw materials that the manufacturers import and produce in Nigeria. There are no importation of bag cement. No.
Dozens of farmers in some communities in Shiroro local government area of Niger State on Sunday fled their homes following multiple attacks by bandits. The communities attacked include Kemaka, Roro, Ngwa Usman, Karaga, Rumache and Bassa. The fleeing residents said they slept in the bush on Sunday night due to fear of the unknown from the attackers, whom they said numbered about 200. When contacted, the Niger State Commissioner for Homeland Security, Brigadier General Bello Abdullahi Mohammed, retired, confirmed the incident, saying the state government was making efforts to provide temporary settlement centers for the displaced persons. Prior to Sunday night's attack on communities in Shiroro local government area, bandits reportedly blocked Zungeru-Tegina Road on Sunday, May the 12th, 2024, kidnapping an unspecified number of traders on their way to Zungeru weekly market. Justice Inyang Ekwa of the Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed the request by alleged terrorist negotiator Muhammad Tukur Mamu seeking his transfer from the custody of the Department of State Service, DSS, to the Kuje Correctional Center. Delivering the ruling on Monday, Justice Ekwa held that the federal government had raised the issue of incessant jailbreaks in prisons as a major ground to oppose the request for transfer to Kuje. The judge subsequently ordered Mamu to remain in DSS custody throughout his trial for the criminal charges against him. Justice Ekwo, however, affirmed his earlier order that he should be allowed to access his physician for medical treatment with the supervision of the DSS. Mamu, through his lawyer, had on April the 29th alleged that the order of the court made on December 19th, 2023, that he be allowed access to his physician for medical treatment was not complied with by the DSS. Mamu was arrested at the Aminu Kano International Airport upon his arrival from Egypt on September the 6th, 2022, over his alleged relationship with the terrorists who attacked the Abuja-Kaduna train on March the 28th, 2022. In the meantime, Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed the request by the detained leader of the Biafran Nation agitators, Nnamdi Kanu, for the restoration of his revoked bail and the removal from the custody of the Department of State Services, DSS, to a house arrest or prison custody. The judge said the same request had been brought before her by Kanu, dismissing it for want of merit. In a ruling on Kanu's request, Justice Inyako said Kanu had jumped the bail earlier granted him and escaped out of the country. The judge also held that the sureties who stood for him in the earlier bail had applied to be discharged and had been discharged on the ground that they could not locate Kanu and did not know his whereabouts. Justice Inyako said the only option left for Kanu was to go to the Court of Appeal to exercise his right of appeal. The judge disagreed with Kanu's lead counsel that the Supreme Court held that the earlier bail granted him ought not to have been revoked, adding that she had perused the Supreme Court judgment copy and did not see the claim of the lawyer.
Provision Act says I cannot be tried in Nigeria. That's the law of Nigeria. I can never be tried in any court of law in Nigeria. That's what the law says. Anybody standing in trial or coming to try me is a terrorist. That's what their law says. Not me. As simple as that. Section 2, subsection 3F of Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act. That's what it says. Any court considered to try me is committing an act of terrorism. Yes. It's very clear. You cannot violate a treaty that Nigeria entered into and then come to try that very person. Is not done anywhere in the world. So you must be aware of that. So that is why there is all these ridiculous delays. That is what Supreme Court said. I did not jump bail. My home was invaded. They came to kill me and I survived. They came to Kenya to kidnap me, brought me back to this country and seeking to try me, which the law says cannot happen. You cannot violate a treaty that Nigeria entered into and then hope to stand on that illegality to conduct the trial. Is not done anywhere in the world.
Cybersecurity experts and some residents of the Federal Capital Territory have been reacting to the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN's retraction of its directive asking banks and payment service providers to collect and remit the cybersecurity levy as outlined in the Cybercrime Prevention and Prohibition Amendment Act of 2024. The Apex Bank announced this in a revised circular dated May 17, 2024, following public outcry against the policy which many said was ill-timed following the current economic crisis in the country. Newell Sampson has that report.
Since the announcement of the directive asking banks and payment service providers to collect and remit the Cyber Security Levy as outlined in the Cybercrime Prevention and Prohibition Amendment Act of 2024. Criticisms trailed the directive, which was condemned by labor and society groups across the country. This led to the retraction of the directive. A security expert, Abubakar Ogrima, who says the reversal of the policy has implications on financing cybersecurity, also speaks on what options are available for the government to provide cybersecurity solutions to against attacks.
First, if we look at it from a broader perspective, we do not want to put out a message or a wrong message to embolden the cyber threat actors. So for the financial aspect, the act was put for a good purpose. It provides funding to cater for cybersecurity, national cybersecurity efforts. So the retraction of the levy, it should be followed with a proper level or proper high level of information disseminated to the public. Because we do not want, like I mentioned before, threat actors seeing this as an avenue to even increase their efforts. The government can key into initiatives that would improve cybersecurity awareness. The information spread out as to the amount of money, the levy that's to be paid, actually brought about a lot of awareness because most people are now asking the right questions. What is cybersecurity? Why are we even paying for it? So the government should back this up with a well-structured effort to disseminate more information about cybersecurity.
Abdurrahman Abuhamisu, a policy analyst, also gave his insight on the impact of policy reversals in the country.
If there is anything that has killed Nigeria and will continue to kill Nigeria, is not lack of policies, and it is not lack of people that will implement those policies, but private interests that has always dealt our policy implementation process a fatal blow. Because no matter how good your policies are, at a point you're going to combine the policy statement with human beings and resources to be able to achieve a result. And by the time you bring human beings and resources together in Nigeria to achieve a result, be rest assured that the result will not be achieved.
Meanwhile, FCT residents have also been reacting to the CBN's circular suspending the implementation of the cybersecurity levy.
The levy should be out because looking at the country situation right now, things are not well moved and people are suffering. There is starvation everywhere. The economy situation is bad. So imagine a situation where a tax of cyber security or something is being imposed on the banks, and banks will definitely, because they don't have that fund on their own, rather the fund is from we, the masses who bank with them, definitely they would impose that tax also on us.
Even the board that come out with that idea, I don't know what they are thinking, because we are facing a lot of challenges in this country. You understand me? Instead of for government to give to the masses, it's now turned around that masses is giving to the government.
Experts believe that the cybersecurity levy is a positive step in the fight against cyber crimes, but was just introduced at the wrong time. No, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
For decades, governors have been the top decision makers on administrative and financial matters of local councils in their respective states. However, there have been widespread concerns over irregularities in the conduct of council elections, with state governors frequently accused of manipulating the process to install compliant chairmen. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail speaks to Nigerians and a public affairs analyst on the proposed amendment of the Electoral Act, which seeks to empower the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct local government elections. Here's that report.
State independent electoral commissions controlled by state governors conduct polls for chairmanship and councillorship positions in the 774 local government areas across the country. However, many question the credibility of these elections, accusing governors of imposing their proxies to access council treasuries. To address these irregularities, the Nigerian Senate is moving to amend the Electoral Act, empowering the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to take over local government elections. We sample public opinion on this matter.
Though I'm saying in this country there are a lot of hanky-panky and all this thing, but it will still be better, purposely because from the states, from the federal, they can still have a kind of free flow of the election than for the state to be doing it. Because if the state is doing it, anyone the ruling governor decide in order to be there, that's who will be there.
Because they are, what's their job? If they are only limited to state and federal government, they should extend that same hand to local government areas. So I think the ruling from the National Assembly should go ahead.
Every state you go to, the ruling party gets to get the majority of the seats in the LGS. Why? Because they frustrate the process. Most of them use money to buy those seats for the people they want. So my own view, I think that national INEC should be able to conduct those elections at the LGA levels.
While some respondents advocated for INEC to take over local government elections, others called for a change in attitude among stakeholders to ensure the right actions are taken.
Secondly, we should deviate our mindset from using our security agencies, right, in handling elections. Whether national level or state level per se, I don't have business with that. But has our mindset changed in this country?
13 former governors are now serving senators in the 10th Assembly, including the President of the Senate, Mr. Akpabio. This explains how powerful the former governors are at the Senate. It is clear that governors decide what happens at the local council level. The question is, could the Senate amend the Electoral Act to allow INEC hold LGA elections? Well, Nigerians are not sure about that. This is because in 2022, the Senate reviewed the Constitution and passed a bill to grant financial administrative autonomy to local governments. However, State House of Assemblies across the 36 states of the Federation rejected the bill.
Several local government areas in Nigeria are just existing by the name. Some of them don't even have money to cut grasses. And so this is a glaring point we can take advantage of. Send their money to them, let them be autonomous. We conduct elections, INEC can do it. You don't do the election all the day. If I can advise INEC, for heaven's sake, you can do it on a strata basis.
While the Nigerian Senate debates the amendment of the Electoral Act to empower INEC to conduct local government elections, ensuring both a credible election and financial autonomy for the local governments remains a pressing issue. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan has called for a truce in Rivers State between Governor Simi Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, and asked both men to work together. Jonathan made the call on Monday during the flag-off of the Trans-Calabari Road in Obiakpo local government area, describing the political tension in Rivers State as worrisome. Jonathan noted that outgoing and incoming governors must know that they work for the collective interest of the citizens of the state, adding that it is critical for them to sheathe their swords. Weeks after the launch of the Citizens Delivery Tracker app by the Tinubu-led administration to ensure citizens become an integral part of the monitoring and performance management process of government, reactions have continued to trail the initiative. It's set up to hold ministers accountable on key deliverables of their portfolios. Nigerians have been speaking on the level of awareness on the part of the citizens, the political will by government to ensure its effectiveness, as well as ministers' efficiency in the implementation of programs, policies, and projects. Here's that report.
Transparency as a fundamental element of good governance is oftentimes required to increase public trust in government activities, policies, and decision-making processes. This is the central role of the Citizens Delivery Tracker app, which is believed if utilized effectively, will help tackle the number of challenges faced by the country. But there are fears that these applications' existence is not known by the vast majority of Nigerian citizens, thereby defeating the aim of its creation.
Application, the Citizens Tracker, will not be effectively utilized if most of the citizens are not even aware of the application, right? So the report says that 64% of the poll they conducted of the citizens are not even aware of the application. And this is a fact. Most of Nigerian citizens are not even aware of, the application and how it functions. And this is a question that must be considered.
While users of the app say the initiative is a welcome development, they, however, insist there is need for more awareness on its existence as well as the potential positive impact it will have on good government.
It's all about awareness, because just like the way I'm telling you, I'm not aware. If people, they made it public so that people can know.
I'm not aware of that. I'm just hearing it, as I said. I think by creating awareness, maybe on media, social media.
But actually, I'm aware of that app. And I think the present government is doing wonderful well.
There are also calls for accountability in the process of using the app, as well as political will to ensure that impact is made.
And it's important to also point out that, intentionality matters a lot. It is one thing for you to provide an application for the citizens to track, and it is another thing to abide by the principles of accountability and transparency. An application will not truly tell us whether the projects that are being executed are actually being executed. We can only see what we know is on the application. So it's important that, it's not a mere proclamation of providing a platform or an application. It must start deep from our hearts. As leaders and as the government, we must always abide by the principles of accountability and transparency.
With this initiative in place, the federal government hopes to adopt international best practices and utilize globally recognized performance indicators and benchmarks to assess the performance of MDAs in the implementation of government programs, projects and policies. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
APC stakeholders in the Northwest convened in Kaduna to discuss issues affecting the party on Charter Way Forward. The dignitaries at the stakeholders meeting commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his efforts and emphasized the need to address the security and economic challenges bedeviling the Northwest zone. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more on that story.
APC stakeholders in the Northwest convened in Kaduna to discuss issues affecting the party and chart a way forward. The dignitaries at the stakeholders meeting commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his effort and emphasized the need to address the security and economic challenges bedeviling the Northwest zone. The stakeholders meeting came at a time when the party is facing internal crisis in the region. House Governor Senator Obasani highlighted the importance of strengthening the party by addressing issues that could create disunity.
If we are all committed to the goals and objectives of our party, we will be prepared to subjugate our personal interests to the interests of the collective.
Amidst the myriad economic and security challenges in the region, Katsina State Governor Dikorada charged the National Assembly members from the Northwest to pursue the realization of the Northwest Development Commission. Governor Rada emphasized the importance of this initiative to address the region's pressing issues and foster development.
We would like to commend the National Assembly members, especially in their pursuit for the Northwest Commission, which has seen the light of the day in the Senate, and we believe that it will be passed by the National Assembly. We urge you all to put more effort and to tell you that the governors of the Northwest are in full support of what you are pursuing.
The Minister of Budget Planning, Atiku Bagudu, also spoke on behalf of the ministers from the Northwest. He highlighted the government's commitment to addressing the region's economic and security challenges, emphasizing the need for cohesive effort to ensure sustainable development.
All of us ministers in the cabinet have a pride of place in the government. We are given due recognition, due attention, due prominence by Mr. President, and we are confident that with your support we will continue to do more to support him so that we overcome the challenges that our country and our nation is faced with.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and the National Chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, highlighted the security challenges in the country as well as the need for constitutional amendments.
Is the issue of constitutional amendments, which I'm sure our invited guests here are aware we have kick-started the process for this particular dispensation. This is an opportunity for this zone to sit down and articulate its own needs, its own priorities, areas that we need to constitutionally amend.
Our forests are only forests to us, they are cities to bandits. So we must find out a practical solution to this problem. We must protect our forest. We must train forest rapid response squads.
The meeting had in attendance the present and past governors of APC from the region, members of the National and State Assembly, ministers and other APC stakeholders in the region. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
This is News Hour on Trust TV.